your punishment.
The Dynasty Warriors franchise has been synonymous with chaotic battlefield action for decades, giving players the thrill of mowing down entire armies with stylish combos. With Dynasty Warriors Origins, Omega Force brings a fresh perspective to the series, introducing modern mechanics and a unique approach to storytelling. For the first time in years, this entry reminded me why I fell in love with Dynasty Warriors in the first place, hypnotized by the high drama, over-the-top characters, and a protagonist that kept me curious. Well, I couldn't stop playing, and here's why.
Come and face us. A victor will be decided here and now.
Hurry with the preparations. We can't miss this chance to strike.
The narrative in Dynasty Warriors Origins takes a bold step away from focusing solely on historic figures, instead placing players in the role of a nameless protagonist. The game justifies the choice by carefully drip-feeding details about their past and place within the legendary story, giving a place for this hero's journey. This blank slate allows players to see all aspects of the Three Kingdoms War, even working with rivals, culminating in a pivotal moment where you decide which ruler to side with. Throughout the game, my opinion of Cao Cao, Sun Jian, and Liu Bei changed and evolved, as none of them are actually good people. But while Omega Force spices up their heroic charms, their flaws do shine through, creating a more nuanced narrative. I initially joined Cao Cao's forces, but regardless of your choice, each path leads to its own satisfying conclusion, which eventually leads to a very satisfying true ending. What stood out to me was how engrossing the narrative felt compared to the previous entries in the series. For the first time, I understood what was at stake during every battle and what my role was in shaping this war. This is reinforced through letters received from soldiers who fought alongside or against you during battle, providing deeply personal perspectives on the conflict as a whole. The game delves deeper into the lore in a digestible way, ensuring that players just aren't overwhelmed, but also know what they're doing. Combat in Dynasty Warriors Origins strikes a balance between classic hack-and-slash elements and modern strategic depth. Skills are introduced gradually, allowing players to master each system as it's unveiled, keeping the experience fresh, but it may be pretty slow for some players, since it does take some time for the action to find its footing. Those who stick with this game will see that the evolution of combat transforms the experience into one of the most technically satisfying in the series. From unlocking advanced combos to utilizing tactical strategies, the combat grows increasingly addictive. Parrying, dodging, and controlling the battlefield becomes second nature, making victories feel well-earned, though losses can be equally punishing. Adding to this complexity, the game introduces new elements that cater to longtime fans while enhancing the experience for modern players. For instance, the Yellow Turban Army, known for their magic use, introduces a system that highlights magic sources on the battlefield. This ends up adding a new layer of environmental interaction during matches and serves as a foundation for later gameplay, where hidden paths and battlefield secrets can be revealed. These features blend nostalgia with innovation in the series, keeping the experience engaging for both veterans and new players. The battles themselves can become overwhelmingly crowded, providing a visceral sense of chaos as hundreds of soldiers converge on the action. It's incredibly satisfying to rush into a battlefield from behind enemy lines, launch a surprise attack, and execute an ultimate Musou attack with a partner character. Some matches allow you to bring a companion in certain battles, briefly switching to them during critical moments. These companions have unique Musou attacks, and their abilities can be chained with yours, enabling creative tactics to turn the tide of battle. Timing becomes critical during significant fights, adding layers of strategy to the entire mayhem of the battlefield. Still, there are moments where fleeing is the only option, like anytime you see Lu Bu. A standout feature of the combat system is the ability to trigger one-on-one duels against significant battles. These moments caught me completely off guard, and I found myself rising in my chair, reinvigorated by the intensity and stakes of the fight. This feeling happens multiple times throughout the game, particularly during major story battles. The challenges of these encounters are real, and because the story is more coherent and engaging this time around, the stakes feel genuinely impactful. That said, the pacing may test the patience of those eager to dive straight into all the action, as some of the most rewarding tools aren't unlocked until much later in the game. Exploration around the map is straightforward, yet still rewarding. The world gradually extends, offering a large and interconnected layout. Thankfully, fast travel points are scattered across regions, making navigation seamless. While traversing the map, you can encounter smaller skirmishes that serve to increase peace within each region. These encounters add an extra layer of engagement to exploration, encouraging you to invest some time in ensuring stability while uncovering secrets. I ended up using these battles to refresh my memory when returning to the game after not playing for a few hours, or testing out new weapons and loadouts. These fights are over pretty quickly and a good way to farm resources if that's what you need. It is worth noting that grinding these smaller skirmishes for skill points isn't entirely viable, as most don't provide them. Instead, they offer special items and weapon proficiencies as their primary reward. Completing tasks assigned by other characters is probably the most effective method of earning skill points. These tasks typically involve defeating a specific number of enemies with a certain weapon or using a particular ability multiple times, unlocking naturally as you experiment with different loadouts. The world map here offers a refreshing take on exploration as a whole, breaking up the action with immersive moments of discovery. Villages, NPCs, and hidden paths keep the experience kind of engaging, with unremarkable side quests that serve as nice little distractions if anything else. There's very little to do with weapon crafting in this game, which is somewhat of a disappointment. Weapons are picked up off the battlefield and gradually become more complex in terms of base stats, but many are just leveled up versions of the same weapons. Similar to the rest of the game, your loadout becomes more robust in later hours, offering more variety and opportunities for customization. This gradual progression aligns with the game's approach to keeping players engaged over time, but still has me wishing for a crafting system. Visually though, Dynasty Warriors Origins is the best looking entry in the series to date. Character models and environments benefit from the power of modern hardware, with impressive details that elevate the experience. Some sets are reused multiple times, and while the environments during scenarios aren't particularly groundbreaking, the level design stands out significantly. Each map is incredibly fun to navigate and strategize your approach for, creating a sense of variety and engagement that keeps battles exciting. I had no issues running the game on PS5. Similarly, the English voice work was decent and gives the localization the personality it needs to be digestible for players. While the localization itself is a bit plain, the source material limits how much flair can be added to the story direction, I feel. Still, I applaud the voice actors because they made me care about these characters more than I have in a very long time. And as for the soundtrack, not that you need to hear it from me, but the blend of orchestral and rock themes pumps energy into every encounter, making me actually want to listen to it right now. Dynasty Warriors Origins succeeds in updating the series with new mechanics and ideas while staying true to its roots. The combat and exploration systems showcase a willingness to innovate even if they may not hit their mark. Most impressive, however, is the narrative, which adds a level of engagement not often seen in this franchise. The gradual evolution of combat mechanics creates an addictive rhythm, rewarding mastery while keeping players on their toes. Longtime fans will find much to love here, but the game's slow pacing and occasional repetition may test the patience of newcomers. Still, Dynasty Warriors Origins is a step in the right direction, proving that there's life yet in these storied franchises. Noisy Pixel is giving Dynasty Warriors Origins a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth, and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.